Good morning again. We'll be doing this packet tracer activity, our laboratory number 3 po, okay, entitled Implement Basic Connectivity. So the manual is available in our Open LMS, so kindly download and answer accordingly, okay, on what is asked and instructed, okay. So when you create or open your Cisco packet tracer and perform this lab activity, don't forget po to customize your file, packet tracer activity file, with your user profile. Okay, so how do we do that? On your packet tracer, you'll see the option menu. Okay, so from there, click user profile and type in your name and then your email address. Okay, so para identify this is your packet tracer file. Okay, so click OK lang po. And then we shall now begin with our activity. So on this, you are given an addressing table of the following devices. So we have S1 and S2, which are switches. The interface we'll be using to assign IP addresses are the following. So this would be the first time we'll be doing this, right? Because the past activities, we have just been doing basic configuration. So this time, we'll be assigning IP addresses and subnet mask. So we have 2 switches. We also need to have 2 PCs. So we'll call them PC1 and PC2. And on their network interface cards, okay, on their fast Ethernet ports, we will assign the following IP addresses. So note lang natin. And then the subnet mask, right? So this activity would allow us to perform a basic configuration of the switches, of the PCs for part 2. And then we also configure the switch management interface or VLAN 1 of the switches. Okay, sige. So let's go through the background. So we will create basic switch configuration and then implement basic connectivity by configuring the IP addresses on all the devices. So when the IP addressing is complete, we will be able to use various show commands to verify their configurations and connectivity, as well as using the ping command. Okay, so sige, let's begin with part 1. We'll work on switch 1 and switch 2 first. So of course, bago natin gawin yan, we need to place our devices in our packet tracer. So we need 2 switches. Okay, so yung switch natin on the lower toolbars of your Cisco packet tracer. So we just select switch, okay, and select 2960, yung basic switch lang natin. So we need 2 of this, right? And then on our end devices, okay, on this category, we will choose just plain PC, okay, PC1, PC2. So we need to rename those kasi on our manual, it must be PC1, PC2, switch 1, and switch 2. So pwede na natin i-rename. So let's rename this at switch 1. Actually, this is just a physical naming. Hindi pa ito yung name nila sa mismong router. So we'll just have this as PC1. Ay, sorry, duplicate na. So we'll start first with PC2. And this one is PC1. All right, so renamed physically according to what we have on the manual. Okay, what do I mean by physically? Kasi on the configuration of our switches, hindi pa natin actually na-assign yung host name. So we'll do that in a while. Okay, so to connect all our devices, connecting switch to another switch, we would require a crossover cable. Okay, so on the connections category, we will choose this one, copper crossover, to connect switch 1 and switch 2. So we will choose the first available fast Ethernet interface. So let's choose the first one to connect to our switch with the same fast Ethernet interface. So kumbaga, yung port 1 ng switch 1, we connect to port 1 of switch 2. Okay, you see the indicator status are orange kasi initializing pa sila. It's performing the connection. Okay, while waiting for that, to complete their connectivity, we'll go to the PC. So PC naman would require a straight through cable to connect it to a switch. So let's take this straight through cable, connect to our PC. We only have one port for our PC. Usually, that's our network interface card with a fast Ethernet connector. Unless meron kang Wi-Fi. So, but this for this activity, we are using a wired cable. So, we'll choose fast Ethernet. Isa lang naman yan. And then, connect it to a switch with the next available. So, actually, you can use any of these devices, but we'll just use number 2. Okay, so while this is being connected, you'll notice that the connection between switch 1 and switch 2 is already completed. And you'll see an indicator, yung mouse over text telling we have connected them, drag ko lang para lumayo. We have connected them using Fast Ethernet 01. Alright, ito rin, Fast Ethernet 01. May mouse over, di ba? Na clue. Okay, so okay na tayo with PC1. We'll connect the other one. So connect ko to Fast Ethernet to the next available Fast Ethernet port. Right? So we're done with the connectivity and we go straight to step 1. Okay. Configure with the host name. So dito tayo sa S1 muna. So we go to S1. Okay. These are the in actual configuration of a network device. Since wala naman siyang monitor, we always connect a console cable, okay? But for packet tracer, this is available, yung command line interface niya. So we select CLI, okay? Here we will see the command line interface of the iOS of that switch, okay? For now, the name of the switch, this is what I was mentioning a while ago. Physical name on the packet tracer topology is S1. But in the configuration, the physical name is still switch, right? So I hope it's big enough naman. Binago ko na yung text sizes ko para no need to use a magnifier. So yan na siya. So let's open the manual. So we'll assign a host name. Okay, so assigning a host name, our command, of course, I need to go to the privilege exec mode, enable, and to global configuration mode, configure terminal. Okay. So from here, pwede na tayong mag-assign ng host name natin. So host name S1 daw ang ilagay. Okay, so okay na tayo with host name for S1. On the manual. Okay, done with step 1. Next, configure the console and encrypted privilege exec mode password. So parang review lang to ng last activity natin, di ba? So to assign a line console password. So the command is line console 0. Okay, so laging yan ang command natin. And we type in our password. It says here, what password should we use? So we must be able to use, so drag ko lang ng konti ito. Oh, sorry. So let me just move this a little bit to the right para hindi natin kailangan mag-switch all the time. So yeah, the password required is this one, Cisco lang. Okay, so we type in Cisco. And then don't forget to type in login. Login partner yan, di ba? Login console 0, password, and then login. Okay, yan. So and then what else is asked? Use class for the privilege exec mode password. So maglalagay din tayo ng password on privilege exec. So we need to exit from the from the line console interface so that we're back on the global configuration mode, and this time we will enable a password. So enable password. This time it should be class. All right. So class. Yeah. Enable password class. Enter. So done na tayo. So we can exit. Okay. Okay. So and we are back to the privilege exec mode. Step 3, verify that the password configuration for S1. So how do we verify, class? So paano natin malalaman kung na-apply na siya? So there are 2 ways we can do. Sagutin nyo na lang po dito sa step 3. So first is either we can show run, or second is we exit until we reach the user exec mode para malaman natin if it was applied. So shorter way, we can show run. Okay. So we will check kung na-apply yung password natin. So on the configuration, after issuing the command show run, the password, enable password has been created. Okay, sa privilege exec mode yan. So we scroll down further to look into the login password. So ayan din po siya, na-assign na. So line console password is Cisco. Enable password is class. Okay, so okay naman siya. So answer step number 3. Okay, so let me scroll down of the manual. Done na tayo with step 3. We go to step 4. So for step 4, we will create an MOTD banner. So still review pa rin to, di ba? So we'll create an MOTD banner. Para makapag-create tayo, we must be on the global configuration mode. Okay, and then ang command natin is banner, MOTD, and then our message. So ano yung gustong ipalagay? Authorize. Okay, so that's our banner MOTD, which I used with the symbol colon, double colon, right? So yan. Save the configuration file to NVRAM. So how do we save it? We are doing the configurations in the running config, di ba? To save it, paano natin gagawin yon? We have to be in our privilege exec mode. Exit lang muna para nasa, ano tayo? Privilege exec mode. So let me copy, run, start. Okay, so yan. Shortcut, copy, run, start, pwede naman. So it will ask you, is the destination the startup config? Press enter to accept. Okay, so nakapin na po siya. So we're done with step 5. So please kindly answer here of the command we had used, and as usual, color it blue please para madali kong makita when I'm checking all your activities po. So your answer should go here for that one, and then tayo mag-scroll down. And then you also need to answer here, di ba? So may question din dito. So type your answer there. And we're done with step 5. Okay, now next, repeat steps 1 to 5 for S2. Okay, so for that one, I'll leave it up to you. So gawin na lang po natin yung sa S2. Exactly the same as how we did for S1. Okay, so let's go to part 2 now. Okay, punta na tayo sa part 2. This time we'll be configuring the PCs. So first time natin gagawin to, di ba? So let's configure PCs with the IP address. Okay, so let me scroll up. Okay, it says here, PC1 must have the IP address 192.168.1.1 with the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Okay, so tandaan lang natin yan. And we go back to part 2. Okay, so on part 2, click PC1 and then click the desktop tab. Okay, so PC1, once we select, yan, we'll see different tabs here. Actually, physical would give you all available interfaces or slots na meron or pwedeng ilagay sa PC, sa likod ng PC natin. And then config naman would be some of the configurations. And then there is also the desktop. Okay, so this part of your PC simulates your workstation, yung desktop nyo mismo, di ba? Your desktop would have a web browser, the command prompt, the terminal, and many other firewalls. So, nandyan yung mga apps or programs installed sa PC na to. Programming is also there, but we won't be using it on our course. So, attributes, nandyan din po siya. So, on our instruction, okay, so we'll just follow that. It says, we click on the desktop and select IP configuration. Okay, so select IP configuration and this would be open. We type in the IP address required. Okay, so IP address na kailangan natin ay 192.168.1.1. So dito naman siya sa instruction natin, di ba? And the subnet mask, actually default is automatic na napunta na siya dyan. And since /24 naman tayo. So that's a 255.255.255.0. Okay, so yan na. That's all that we need to do. Okay na tayo dyan. And we just do it for the second PC. So gawin natin sa second PC. Go to desktop, IP configuration, and the IP address for the second PC, if we go to the manual, hindi natin memorize, 1.2 lang naman. Okay, so magkasunod lang pala sila. So 192.168.1.2 and the subnet mask is the same. Okay, so okay na yan. So there is no save button here. So when you close and open again, you see that the IP configuration is saved. So let's check for PC2. Nandiyan na. It's already saved, right? Now we're done with PC 1 and 2. Let's test the connectivity. So this time we'll be using a command for interconnectivity testing, and that is the ping command. So ping is shortcut for packet internet grouper. So yan yung command na pang ICMP or para makakuha tayo ng status messages of our connectivity. Okay? So step 2, click letter A, click PC1 and close the IP configuration window kung naka-open pa. If not, click command prompt. Okay, so let's go to PC1 para tayong nag-open ng device natin and we open our command prompt. So ito na yung command prompt natin. So next on the instruction, type the ping command and the IP address for S1. Okay, so take note, sabi dyan, i-ping down natin. What again is the IP address for S1? So let's check. S1 is 1.253. So ping 192.168.1.253. Okay, and then press enter lang po. Okay, so yan yung nasa instructions. So it's pinging the data with 32 bytes of data. Okay, so nandito na tayo sa step 2. Okay, so you'll see it's giving us a request timeout status. Okay, standard po na ping would do that 4 times. Okay, until magbibigay siya ng summary. So ping statistics for 192.168.1.253, which is the IP address of the switch 1, is nakapag-send tayo ng 4 pero walang na-receive. So it means naka-lost tayo ng 4 for sending of packets. So 100% loss. So request timeout means hindi successful yung connection natin. So you will answer this question, were you successful? No. Bakit sa tingin nyo hindi naging successful? Okay, so let's go back to our packet tracer. Okay, bago natin siya explain. On our packet tracer, you see the status of the switch-to-switch connection as green, meaning good siya. It can be able to forward packets if PC1 will send to PC2 and vice versa. Okay, kasi the switch without an IP address can perform its forwarding function. But for us to be able to ping or manage our switch remotely, kasi gusto nating makita yung switch or makakonect sa switch through PC1, right? So for that purpose, we need to assign an IP address. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, so we were not successful because there is no IP address set to the switches yet. So ang nilagyan pa lang natin ng IP address ay yung PCs, right? Okay, so let's do the configuration of the switch management interface of the switches. So yun yung gagawin natin sa part 3, which is the last part. Okay, so let us just read the background. Switches can be used as plug and play devices. So this means they do not need to be configured for them to work. Okay, kaya nga naka-green yung status natin because they'll be able to forward info. They can forward information from one port to another based on the MAC addresses. So if this is the case, why would we configure it with an IP address? So why do we need to configure it with an IP address? To be able to manage it, okay, remotely. Okay, so or to be able to ping, di ba? Isa rin sa reason natin yon para ma-ping natin siya. So we need to assign an IP address. Okay? Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, so we need to configure the VLAN IP address. That's the management interface of our switch. Okay, so use the following commands to configure S1 with an IP address. So we need to go to switch 1. Okay, sa kanyang CLI, tuloy lang natin to. Okay, so let me just pull that here. So go to global configuration mode. So let's go configure. Okay, nasa global configuration mode na tayo. Okay, and then do the following commands. So nakalagay naman siya dito. So we'll type in interface VLAN 1. So that's the management interface by default of every switch, VLAN 1. So press enter. You'd notice yung prompt natin, change to interface configuration mode. Nagkaroon ng -if dyan. So we now specify the IP address. So IP space address 192.168.1.253. Yan yung para sa switch 1. And then space, it should be followed by the subnet mask. So the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0, right? And then press enter. Okay, so if there is no error, we are assuming okay siya. Okay, now we need to issue another command. Okay, yung no shutdown. Okay, kailangan nating i-type yung no shutdown. Why? So press enter muna natin. Okay, so when we press enter for no shutdown, there is a status which tells link 5 changed. Interface VLAN 1 change state to up. Ibig sabihin, up na daw siya, or ibig sabihin, active na siya. So line protocol on interface VLAN 1 change state to up. Okay, mula sa down. Why? Because okay, yun yung question na sumunod. Why do you enter the no shutdown command? So because the no shutdown command administratively places the interface in an active state. So kailangan i-activate natin siya. Okay. So the no shutdown command places your switch. Okay, so kumbaga by default, hindi pa siya active or up. So we need to type in no shutdown. Okay? Yung no command is always an inverse of the other keyword. Pag ang tinype natin is shutdown, that would turn off your device. Pag no shut, turn on siya. So let's try that on our interface. So for here, let's type in shutdown. Okay? Pag nag-shutdown tayo, so you'll see a status, change administratively down or change state to down. So naka-off na yung shutdown. So we should do the no shutdown. Okay, balik natin siya sa no shutdown para mag-up siya. Alright, so up na po yung ating switch. Now, let's do the same for S2. So I'll leave you with that. Gawin nyo po yun for S2 on the CLI. So mag-interface VLAN kayo dyan and then do it. Okay, so that's for S2. Next. So step 3 na po tayo. Okay, so we will only be able to test for S1 kasi yun lang yung kinonfigure natin. So step 3, verify the IP address configuration on S1 and S2. So use the show IP interface brief command to display the IP address and status of the switch port interfaces. So let's do that for switch 1 since siya lang naman yung nilagyan natin ng IP address. So okay, so here sabi, we need to type in show IP interface brief. Okay, so this must be on the privilege exec mode. Kailangan nasa privilege exec mode tayo dyan pag ginawa natin yan. I'll exit again and then show IP interface brief. Okay, so yan. So let me just lakihan ko to para mas malinaw siya. Okay. So from the show IP interface brief command, ito po. Okay. You see that fast Ethernet 1 and 2 are both up. Okay? Kasi sa switch to so one is connected to the other switch and the other one is connected to the PC, right? So yan po siya. So naka-up tayo doon. Okay? So and then another one is up. Okay? So madami tayong interfaces. We have 1 up to 24. We also have gigabit interfaces plus we have the VLAN 1. This is the one we configured with an IP address. So meron siyang IP and then it's also up. Alright? So yun yung sinabi dyan. Okay? Step 3 yon. Now, we go to step 4. Save configuration for S1 to NVRAM. So, alam na natin, di ba? So, to copy running config to the startup config. So, copy lang natin. That would now be saved on the NVRAM. Okay? And then, if both the switches already have their IP addresses, we can now verify connectivity. So network connectivity can be verified using the ping command and pwede na natin gawin yung kanina which unsuccessful. Okay, so let's go back to the PC. We still have the same output. Hindi ko pa kinlose to. So it's a request timeout a while ago, diba? So let's issue the same. That 253 is the address for switch 1, right? So enter ko lang po. Okay. And then ping. Okay? So, comparing to our first result of the ping na lahat request timeout, this time, only the first one has a request timeout kasi nga, of course, communicating pa lang siya. But we received replies on the succeeding ping. Okay? So, we can do that again. Okay? Pag inulit niya yan actually, at hindi naman na first time na mag-connect, you'll get full replies. 4 na reply na po ng packets of data. Okay? So, this indicates the connectivity is okay. Okay? So, paano naman natin ipiping yung PC2? Okay? So, how do we ping PC2? So, we just use ping. And what is the IP address of PC2 again? If we go to the table, IP address of PC2 is 1.2. Okay? 1.2 tayo. So, 1.2, enter lang po. Okay? So, even if we didn't specify an IP address to switch to yet for this exercise, kasi I'm leaving it up to you, yan, we were able to ping PC2. Okay? So, meron na tayong connectivity. So, please do the following. So, I'll request you to send screenshots po of the results of your ping. Okay? We have 4 devices, diba? So, PC1, show screenshots that you ping. Patapos na tayo. PC2, switch 1, and switch 2. Okay? From PC2, show screenshots that you were able to ping PC1, S1, and S2. So, 6 na screenshots. So, how do we do that? So, let me get a snipping tool. Example, dalawa na yung na-try natin. So, we were pinging. Na-ping na natin yung switch 1, diba? So, let me get this snipping tool. So, this would be the result. Ping. Yan. So, you just get a screenshot of this. From PC1 po ito So, see? So, from PC1 to switch 1. Ayan. So, that's the screenshot. Litan lang natin para hindi naman masyado. Ayan. So, we also did from PC1 to PC2, right? So, unahin natin yun. Okay. So, let's get PC1 to PC2. Okay. So, pwedeng ganyan na lang yung label. PC1 to switch 1. Alright. Okay, so let's get the screenshot of the other one. So let's go to the command prompt. Balikan natin yung command prompt sa PC1. We already did PC1 to PC2 ping. So, copy this one and paste it on your document. So you must be able to have a total of 6. 3 for each PC. So We were able to do 2 na. PC1 to PC2, PC1 to switch 1, kindly continue for PC1 to switch 2, and all 3 for PC2. Okay, so all pings should be successful. If your first ping is 80% lang, try lang ulit para maging 100% siya. So if you are not able to ping any PC1 to any of the other devices, it means there is an error on your configuration. So you have to review and check on your configuration in that case. Okay? So that ends our laboratory activity po.